Welcome to the Squad Games Podcast. Squad Games Podcast.
Giacomo, something crazy this week. I watched all of Batman the Caped Crusader on Amazon Prime.
Is that an animated series, the new one?
It's the brand new animated series, and I was a big fan. I'm not going to lie.
All right, that's good. You know, they've been hitting it, smashing it out of the park with their animated series for Batman for a long time now. It's
interesting because they changed like a lot of the origin stories of a lot of the villains and stuff, but it didn't feel forced. It felt fresh, you know? It felt like a different universe as Batman, since we're so used to the multiverse now, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. I dig that.
Another big accomplishment this week. We hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube.
We did. That was, as of the time of this recording, today.
Yep. Today, right around noon.
We
actually missed the mark where it was like 1,000. It was like,
we were at 103 or something by that time.
Yeah. It was like 998 for like 5 hours. And then it was like, ooh, you know, it was cool. So thank you, everyone.
You know?
Yeah, anyone who's listening on YouTube, or if you still have not subscribed and you're listening on the podcast, make sure you go to YouTube and help us out there.
Yep.
Appreciate everyone who listens on Spotify, Apple, wherever you might get your daily, weekly dose of Squad Games content. So,
yes.
Yeah. Today, we're going to see if this is up everyone's alley. We're doing something a little different this week. I think we're going to talk about the three things on the docket that we're going to talk about for this episode are, do you want to take it away, G?
Absolutely. So today we're going to be talking about making battle reports just in general, you know, in celebration of hitting 1,000, you know, and the battle reports have helped us get there. So I want to kind of share how we did it and, you know, like what people can try to do if they want to make their own. We got where the golden tickets can be found if you're looking to still get a golden ticket for this last year of Kill Team, this last year of second edition, going into third. And then, you know, we want to just talk up on our thoughts on third now that more stuff has been revealed. And, you know, we're probably only weeks away from the release.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's not 4 months like when
Nightmare.
they're like, yeah, literally the Nightmare box, which was a nightmare for content creators. It was like, hey, we got this really cool team coming out.
That's it.
Nothing. Nothing from like 2 months. It was
but yeah, at LVO when they released it, you're just like, is it going to come out?
We could be waiting for 2 months. They're like, hey, here's Hype Storm. Here's all the hype. And now you're going to wait as we slowly release rules for 2 months.
They would push it to Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas release, you know?
Imagine. We all started playing already, Games Workshop, from everything that you've said. You just haven't released the rule books yet. That'd be exciting.
Oh yeah, man, it sure would be. I mean, it's going to be a fun time. So battle reports, you know, that's been the newest thing we've been making on YouTube outside of the Hobby Highlander.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk a little bit about how we do it, kind of our equipment, the thought process, and if you're looking to do it, what might make you successful as well.
Yeah.
I think we've been talking about it for about a year or a year and a half. It's actively on the podcast. We've been like, hey, you know, we're going to start doing battle reports.
And here we are, you know.
And yeah, a year later.
Finally, we're in our battle report arc.
Yeah. Is this what they do now?
I don't know. I was trying to not hit my stuff in front of me.
I was doing a dab. If people still do that. That and planking. Remember planking?
Oh, man. Planking's gone.
Bro, that was so much fun. You just plank in the middle of the road.
I feel like I've seen a few people plank, but I never participated in planking.
Dude, wait until we get like a planking kill team. They're all just like planks. That would be lit.
I feel like you could build that, right? Instead of gluing them on their bases, you just glue them sideways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That'd be an option. But anyways, back to battle reports. So let's go over the basics, right? The obvious things you need is a camera, you need models, and you need a friend. So as long as you have that, you can make a battle report. That's the easiest way to do it. If you want to take it up a notch and you want to add your own spin on stuff, I think one of the first things you should do is see what advantages or things you already have at your disposal. Like, for example, we had a bunch of camera equipment and we had experience working with these devices already. So going into streaming, even before we did battle reports, we kind of had an idea of what we were going to do. And then, of course, we learned a little more. We failed a few times and we got better, and now we're doing pretty good. So look at what you have at your disposal, or your friends and everyone nearby, and start there. And then you can really, design things the way, like, what makes you unique, what helps you stand out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think, Dakotah?
Yeah, there's a couple things. So if you're looking to start doing battle reports, you start looking to record your games. You can start off with TTS, right? That's the cheapest, the easiest way to go. And I know quite a few other content creators that do that, and they post them on their Patreon or in their local Discords or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really unique, right? So there's a lot of people that can do that because that's the most widely accessible, easiest thing to do. The next thing would be to get some kind of camera or your phone and record it, but that's kind of lower quality content. Not a ton of people are going to watch, right? It's the easiest thing to go to a tournament. And I think Warp Charged Gaming used to record all of his games at whenever he would go to tournaments. I don't know if he's still around. Which is cool content, like watching tournament games is something where we kind of started. In fact, our stream setup and our recording process has taken years to put together. Absolutely years and thousands of dollars. Right. And you definitely should not start there, because battle reports and Kill Team doesn't generate tons and tons of views. Right. I kind of had a philosophy of like what we wanted to do. Like, I've seen a lot of battle reports. We're the battle report channels right now. We have Six Sided Legion. You
got Mountainside
Tabletop, right? Which I should be meeting them at Nova. That should be fun.
You got Drop Dice.
And heaven forbid I forget the last.
There's a couple that does it, and I can't remember who they are, but there's a couple that does it.
Cyrac, he does battle reports.
Cyrac does them as well.
Glass Half Dead. I don't think I've seen a Glass Half Dead battle report in quite some time.
It's been a little bit on the low. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he's doing them, but I'm just not aware of it.
Yeah. So something that we have that not everyone does is we have somebody who can sit at the computer, and we've designed. We work with OBS, and we've designed a custom layout that I've spent lots of time doing. Tinkering, fixing things, changing stuff. I make everything in Inkscape, export them as PNGs, bring them into OBS, and currently work from there, right? And then we have a couple tools and tricks of the trade, how we change points and all that kind of stuff through OBS. But the main thing that Giacomo said is that we have a lot of camera equipment. I've been wanting to stream and do YouTube for years and years, like 6 to 8 years. So for every Christmas, I was asking for lights or cameras or this or that. And then Giacomo already had 2 great Sony mirrorless cameras. So with now we have 4 Sony mirrorless cameras. We have 3 Mevos. We have a 4K dice cam that I just got in today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think 7 or 8 lights, right? And we have a space. Not everyone has a space that you can stream in or record in. So we have a small studio, 10 by 14. But again, like, you should always start where you're comfortable and then build from there. If it's something that you like enjoying, go from there. G, do you have anything else? Because I don't want to ramble on too much on that.
No worry. I mean, I think that's perfect, right? Never start way over your budget or anything like that, more than your means can handle. Like, if you have to start with a phone and recording with there, just doing kind of like what mini wargaming used to do with the camcorder, do that, right? You can improve from there. It starts somewhere. You get better at it. Like, that's just the normality. When we were doing podcasts, we weren't even doing a video format right now. Now we are, because we decided that we have enough tools to do it. So,
episode 113.
This is 113 now, keep doing them, keep making them better, hopefully each time. And, just progress from there. And don't forget to have fun. Like, that's a big thing, right? It's like, you have to you got to keep the flow going, you know, have good rapport with your opponents, like your friends and stuff, right? Whoever you bring on. Because, you know, heaven forbid that you're arguing with somebody the whole time, though that could be interesting in its own right. Maybe you're like the drama battle reports. That's what you do, you know? You're all about that juice, that fighting juice.
I think another important thing is audio, right?
Oh, yeah.
Audio, more than anything else. Like, we have one particular video that we put out. I'm sure that a lot of people know it. It was the Hive stream one where my document camera was the camera's audio that was going. And
you sounded like a tin can.
It is awful. It is absolutely awful. And we actually lost a subscriber from it. We didn't gain anything. It was great. But I felt like the conversation was good enough that we kept it on the channel. But the number one thing that's going to make people stick around to your games is if people can see stuff and if they can stand it by listening, right? So, like, we're humans and we want to see, taste, smell, hear things, right? So if you can make a lot of those things great, that's what people are going to look out for, right? So audio is something important. You could get DJI, lapel microphones or Rode, or you can choose any kind of a company. Some companies are cheaper than others, right? And you kind of get what you pay for in audio. That's something that's really huge, right? Yeah. Audio is so expensive. It's so ridiculous. Today I had to go buy a 100.
Yeah, audio can definitely be over the cost, and it's important to make sure it's
this
good.
Was $100. It was $90. $90. This Rode AI mic, right?
Hey, but
I'm very upset.
But see, we're investing in it because once you get it, it's yours, right?
Yeah.
So you can use it forever. Like, so that's the upside of investing in your studio, in your craft or whatever, you know, investing in your battle reports, because we're talking about battle reports here. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's important to have painted models. You can do without painted models, you know, because I get it. You know, if this is just your hobby and you like doing it, we can't always put all the time in, and I get that. I wouldn't ask people to do that. If it's entertaining, I'll watch Gray. Something wrong with that. But if you can, you know, add a little more showmanship is always nice.
For me, I think that's the other thing, is that you have to kind of curtail to your people who are watching, right? One thing that I know that annoys me when I'm watching a stream or a battle report is players not having painted models or well painted models. And that's like a promise that I wanted to make ourselves, that we weren't going to have poorly painted models on the channel. Now, our last battle report, you know, I had to paint models in 45 minutes because the whole world was falling apart. So I already broke my own rule.
And that's going to happen, you know, like, again, expectations is what you'd like, but like reality is, I only had maybe 2 hours to at least just put them together, and it's at least it's functional, you know? So Absolutely. Like, you know, never beat yourself up for at least doing it, because at least you did it, you know?
Absolutely.
And other people will look at you and they might say something, but they're not trying it, you know? So at least you're doing it, you know? So there's always that.
The other thing that you're going to find is, like, in the YouTube comments, you will find people who leave negative remarks, but then you go and you look at your subscriber count and you're like, oh, well, this person said something negative, but we got plus 25 subscribers from this video. So there's 25 people who liked it enough to, you know, want to watch more. So, you know, sometimes that's important to keep your mentality strong too, because as a content creator, I don't know if there's a lot. We never really got feedback on the podcast until we started doing YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was
big.
Big.
Yeah. And then now we have a lot wider people listening to us. So it's important that if you start doing battle reports, to realize that some people are going to say negative things and just brush it off, right? Try to do your best, and that's all you can do. So keep your mentality strong, for sure. Another thing is to generate people coming to your streams and stuff more, or your battle reports more, right? Is what makes you unique. What is your goal and philosophy? Are you just trying to pump out 5 battle reports a week? cool. People might subscribe because that's unique. How many people are doing that out here?
Right. That's a lot.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So people might just be like, oh, just pure, I'm just Guilty Madness. That's my name. I'm going to watch everything, let's go. Maybe that happens, right? But you kind of want to have like a philosophy of like what you want to push out and kind of like your thought process as a creator, right? Giacomo, do you want to explain a little bit of like our kind of like thought process and what we want to do? Yeah.
So we started streaming first, right? Streaming tournaments. That's what we did. We were TOs running Kill Team events. So we
still are.
And we still are. So it would make sense that we'd want to do more competitive focused, competitive driven battle reports, right? You can do fun narrative stuff. Sure, that exists. That's, but our drive is to play a little more competitive if we can, even if the team isn't the most competitive, just to play as optimally as you can, and that works for us. That's what we like to do. And so we're going to be more passionate about doing that stuff, Mm-hmm. So you find in our stuff, competition is a thing we push, but never to the point where it's unfun for your opponents, because no one wants to play in a bad sportsman competition. That's mm-hmm. just not fun either. So our philosophy is to be competitive, have a good time, be nice to your opponent, have great looking models, right? Mm-hmm. Simple.
Very, very simple. And also, make sure that our models are looking as good as they can, and so is the people who we have come on stream, right? Ultimately, I think visually, we are watching a visual medium, so we mm-hmm. want to make sure that it's visually pleasing to anyone who's trying to watch, right? I think that's something that's relatively important, at least for me as a content as a creator, right? And like I said, you can start off with just a phone, and then you can get audio, and cool. You're making battle reports, you're making content, you're building an audience, right? And that's something that's like really important just to start off with. G, what kind of goes into you behind the scenes? Because we have like, I don't know, 12, 15 different scenes and cameras you can choose from and all that kind of stuff. So when you're sitting there at the computer manually controlling everything, because that's the other thing. My biggest thing was like, I don't want to spend 8 hours editing a battle report from 10 different cameras. No way.
It takes too long.
Not for Kill Team. We do that for Hobby Highlander, and that's good. That's good enough. Right?
Agreed.
Yeah. Maybe if we had someone doing this for Hobby Highlander, it would be even easier. Like, who knows, right? It's besides the point.
Well, yeah. What goes behind the scenes a lot of the time is I have to think about when the most action is happening, whether that's somebody talking with someone making motions, like in the most recent episode, you guys both decided to pray to the Emperor, which I thought was a pretty good moment. It's very funny. You could check that out on the episode, the most mm-hmm. recent.
I'll try to link it here. What time is it? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, try to find the action so you keep people engaged. So I have a series of the other camera feeds shown to me, so I can see where I think the most action is going to happen. And I go to that page and have it ready. As soon as I see it, then I move it to the mainstream, and now you're actually watching it.
That's called studio mode, right?
Yeah, you can have studio mode ever, so you can have your feeds ready. We have a series of hotkey buttons. You can usually get those through like a Stream Deck. You can also just use the quick commands as well, but the Stream Deck works really nice for that, so that I can control points, on the fly if one of the players wasn't updating their stuff, which happens from time to time. I get it. You're in the moment. I can't fully expect everybody to do everything. That's what the moderator's for. It's what I'm working on. I'm editing and making sure it's flowing smoothly. I'll ask questions going like, oh, are you sure you have this many points? Just making sure. So everything's looking as best as it can be. That's generally what's going on in the back. And at the same time, I'm making sure the microphones are working. Nothing just crashed or anything, or trying to repair it if it does crash. Try to respond to the stream, because we also stream it as it's getting onto Twitch as well. Try to respond to them, or let one of the guys know, like, hey, they just asked you a question. Here's the question. Go ahead and respond to it, please. Mm-hmm. Because that's engaging your audience is important. So like that kind of stuff, prepping them. Production role is fun.
So sometimes it's good for the stream to stream your games as well, because a lot of times, Twitch, if something's being misplayed, Twitch can point it out. If not, the players like forget something, or if, because also the person streaming is doing all the cameras or doing everything. Sometimes it's hard to pay attention to also the rules while everything's going, right? So sometimes they can catch something and then you're like, hey guys, can you guys check that rule? Cool. Let's pull up the rule, make sure it's good. Okay. The stream was wrong. Take that, Twitch. Usually they're wrong. They're right. But that's besides the point. But it's good. It's good for competitive integrity, right? Like, sometimes some battle reports out there, they have just misplayed rules or something like that. Because you know what? Kill Team is a difficult game.
Right. It's a lot happening.
Yeah, it's a difficult game, especially if you're playing a team for the first time, which we will have to do. Yes, I can't play Vet Guard forever because it would be boring for normal people, not people with, special Vet Guard fetishes like myself, right? I get that.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to change. I get it. Okay.
It's just required.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to go to Xenos and do other stuff. That's cool. It's exciting. I'm so excited to play other teams. So excited to get rules wrong and have the internet humiliate me. But that's another thing, right? Is the internet is going to make fun of you sometimes. And that's okay.
Part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Your ego got to be down here, right? Like, right. We're just dudes playing games. Like we're just dudes playing games, right?
That's all we're doing. Mm-hmm. Having the best time we can. When it comes to making a battle report, really any content. This can apply to almost any content. We're just specifically trying to focus on battle reports.
Yeah, yeah. Like Hobby Highlander and
right. That's a different level of production because that's more of a recorded scene, right? Where this is happening live. So I forget what psychologists had done the whole thing where like if you see it live, people will get upset when you're rearranging things. But no, because it's like live. Of course, there's going to be small issues here and there. It happens all the time. And that's just human nature, So don't feel bad if something isn't fully perfect or what you want it to be. It'll get there. And it's okay.
That's one thing is I'm a perfectionist, right?
Yeah.
I really push it forward. Giacomo knows, like, we won't start on a project until we're ready. We are ready to go, right?
Yeah.
And I know it can be frustrating, right? But that's not always the best. We could have been starting this battle report a year ago, and we would be so much further along in our YouTube, and just growing as a business, right? As a YouTube, as content creators, because essentially we're 3 content creators: me, Giacomo, and Saya, right?
Yep.
I think it'd be interesting to do a deviating. That's my ADD here. Okay. Contrasting between Hobby Highlander and the battle reports, because also this is live. Me and Giacomo do this live. We don't edit it. Maybe if we were getting like 100,000 views, we might edit it. But the same thing with the battle reports, right? We're just putting out the content so you guys can enjoy it. Hobby Highlander, we really want to push edited good content. YG?
Because with a lot of that kind of show, there is a lot of dull moments or maybe moments that don't need to be fully captured. And we can streamline the episode to be something very watchable, because at the end of the day, Hobby Highlander is a show about watching paint dry. So, I've never been that excited to go paint my walls and go, damn, that looks really cool, sitting there for the next hour waiting for it to dry. But if you can streamline the process and get to the fun parts, that's always a lot more fun. And editing it, we can add extra bits, like when we let people know which paint it is, which color, which brand. That's things you can't necessarily do live as easily. So in the editing process, having those graphics or just other little things that pop up is nice to have. So editing, that's what that's for.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're going to be doing a Hobby Highlander live at LVO, and we're slightly nervous because our 45-minute episode takes about an hour and a half to record, depending on the paint. Some of the paint just doesn't want to dry. So you have to, it's going to be interesting because we're going to be sitting there just like talking, and being like, the first thing we're going to say is like, you signed up to watch paint dry, right?
Yeah. Because,
And watch us talk about it, I guess,
that's really all we're doing.
Yeah. And then we'll have some nice high resolution cameras. We'll have like a big old screen so people can see what the cameras are seeing. We'll have somebody doing what we do for battle reports for the stream itself. Alexander Popov will hopefully be there too, bringing us paint so everyone can see glorious Alex.
Shout out to Alex.
Shout out to Alex. We'll have Saya coming up, bringing up people, asking questions. Maybe we can do that while we're having paint dry. G.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I have an ambition for that as well. We derailed so hard, but that's okay.
That's okay.
This is the Squad Games podcast.
Content,
Yeah.
I mean, we just talked about the introduction right now. He just said Squad Games podcast. So what are we, like 30 minutes in?
Yeah. I think so.
Who needs a format anymore, right? And the formats don't matter.
Yeah.
At least have a pathway to get to where you're going, but formats don't matter.
Yeah. So what's fascinating is Saya will probably be there being the host as per normal, having people come up and ask this question, but I have an ambition for LVO. I'm going to try to get another content creator, hopefully a painter of some sort, to at least come and say hi or be a guest for the episode. It would be really cool if we got like Miniac or Ninjon. We saw them both there. Don't think that'll happen. We're probably too small fry. Stolly just commented on our Hobby Highlander video today, and I nerded out.
You loved that. You called me on the phone for that.
I did. It's funny. Stolly, he is an amazing content creator, in my opinion, and I don't think enough people watch him or Torvarion's content.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Torvarion is just like an amazing painter, right? And hasn't really, taken the red pill and gone Squidmar with it, and just gone straight to clickbait sometimes. But sometimes
I get it, man. Squidmar, you got to make your money. I get it. Get the bag, whatever. I get
it. Yeah. But I love it. Squidmar's also an amazing content creator, but
he's a good painter. So
yeah, and his channel's flourishing. But Stolly's great because I used to follow Tale of Painter quite a lot when I was learning how to paint and doing different recipes. In fact, my Ibrisil Eldar army is based off of his paint tutorials from his website. And then he started a YouTube channel, and he kind of does what we do. He does the whole, what's the best paint from here and there. I really suggest watching his monument paint one, which is the 10 best monument paints. It might spoil some future things, but it's a great episode. I think that he definitely has a really good feel on the pulse for paints. He's been doing it forever, so he's a great person to watch. But yeah, back to Hobby Highlander, I guess. But it would be great.
Free Stolly plug.
Yeah, Stolly. I think it'd be great to.
Are we pronouncing that right?
I don't know, dude.
I hope we're pronouncing that right.
Might be Stolly. I have no idea.
Man, I hope we're pronouncing that right.
That's what I've always called him. I don't know. I mess up a lot of people's names. I called my wife Saya for the first year I met her, and she never corrected me to Saya. So if I'm saying your name incorrectly, Stolly, no, my wife has put up with it. So can you.
Please.
It'd be great to get a content creator for a Hobby Highlander live at LVO.
It'd be nice. Mm-hmm. Because really a lot of battle reports, painter shows, painting channels, like the miniature industry and the content creation for miniature industry is it's very homegrown. Usually a lot of these guys, I think maybe the most that one studio has probably 15 people, and that's not a lot.
Yeah.
Realistically, most of it is it's the two guys and maybe they hire an editor. That's about it. This is it. It's very homegrown roots. So team ups happen more often, or it could happen more often just because that's the way it is. Which is one of the things I really admire about this industry. It's very much you're doing it in your own,
Mm-hmm.
And
who would be your dream guest for Hobby Highlander Live?
Ooh.
There's a couple that could never come on the show, but they'd still be a dream guest of mine.
I'd want some that aren't even on YouTube, like just painters I've followed over the years.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'd love Paint My Little World, but I don't think he has a YouTube channel, and he's also in Europe, so like that's not happening. Do the same thing with King Corner's painting, like he's also in Germany specifically, like so like they're probably not coming. That's not a thing. How about you?
I think Duncan Rhodes would be amazing.
That would be a fun one. It'd be a real fun one.
But imagine if he hated his own paint. That would suck. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah, you never know. He could be like, hey, you know what? I'm impressed by this color, I guess. And then he has to go to his recipe guys and go like, we have to make this better now.
Yeah, guys, how is AK making this good of a paint? Or how is Monument making this good of a paint? And ours is awful. That's not true. I don't think there's been a single bad Too Thin Coats paint.
There hasn't been one that I didn't dislike. There's been some that I've loved, like they just knock it out of the park. But they've all been pretty good. I don't think they've ever scored low.
No, almost every range has done relatively well. There's a couple that are not nearly as good, like GW not doing fantastic right now. You know, I think they've only won one.
Yeah. Then
so far that we've released.
Exactly. Like, and GW itself, like they, as much as I do like them as a company, right? I started using their paints when I first got into the hobby. That's kind of the thing. They have so much marketing behind them that of course you're going to use GW paint. It's part of the model range you just bought. It tells you what paints to buy. So like, of course you're going to do it.
It's still a good beginner paint.
It's a great
not
beginner
all of them.
paint.
Some of them suck.
Some of them are bad, but that's more of their chemical composition than really a color issue. Yeah, you know, so much for battle reports. Now we're talking about painting.
Yeah, well, we've only done 2 battle reports, right? Well, we're doing number 3 tomorrow. Number 3 for battle reports is you versus the stats man himself, David.
Yeah.
David is a legendary person here at Squad Games. In fact, if he was a Pokemon, he'd be a legendary Pokemon.
Hell yeah.
Or Magic the Gathering card. He'd be a legendary Magic the Gathering card. There can only be one. Yeah, he does all the stats for MetaWatch behind the scenes. If anyone's seen the latest MetaWatch episode, which came out a while ago, he was on it. We're waiting for MetaWatch until the end of the edition. We were about to do it and then they were like, hey, the edition's ending. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do one in the middle of this. I mean, imagine if it like ends in November.
She's waiting for a while.
Yeah, we'd be waiting for a while, which would be upsetting. But we'll probably wait till the end, and then we'll do what team performed the best in the last data slate, and then we'll also do a rundown of what team performed best in the last season, because we have all the data from the last season of Kill Team. So we can kind of see for over the past year, you know, I think it's right when Nightmare got announced, sometime late November, we started recording data, and basically nearly a year, right? What team has been destroying everything. So unfortunately, we don't have, or fortunately, we don't have all the Colts wins recorded, because no one liked that time. And
I think generally, like, still having that data is going to be important, because I don't feel that the teams are going to change that dramatically into 3rd edition. I think a lot of the same stuff you're familiar with is going to stay.
What do you think's going to happen? Because when we look at, are we just going to skip the golden tickets? Let's do golden tickets now.
Gotcha. We'll get back to 3rd edition in just a second, guys.
Yeah, because that was like a natural progression into our 3rd topic.
But let's go ahead and get into golden tickets, because we that is on our docket. You know, like I said, there's no structure, just the roadmap to get there. So.
Yeah, here at Squad Games, we only have structure at tournaments.
Yes,
not in our personal lives.
Yeah, you don't need that, man. So, you know, golden tickets. So if you're still looking to go to the golden ticket event for Kill Team, you know, there's a few places to get it. Dakotah, where can they get them?
So I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 left in the US. Golden tickets are really cool. If you don't know what a golden ticket is, it is a invitation to the World Championships of Warhammer that happens in Atlanta. There are some things there that are relatively, I would say, less competitive than what you would say what happens at LVO or WTC, All Valley Team Tournament, New York Open, Nova, all of these other tournaments that pride themselves on competitiveness. Some of the detractments of the WCW is what we call the World Championships of Warhammer is last year, the last two, I think it was just last year. Last year, there were 4-hour rounds.
Wow.
Correct.
That's quite a lot.
Yes. Which was, some people actually got locked into 4-hour round games. Now, if anyone's listening to this and they're like, oh yeah, it takes me 4 hours to play a kill team game at your LGS, right? Kill team games should not last that long. Competitively, they should be lasting about 2 hours, right?
Yes.
A little less than that. Yeah, a little over than that is fine. But if you're taking 3 hours to do a kill team game, you're probably not ready for tournament play because you should be held to a faster time so that whether it's you or your opponent, you can get a chess clock and time to practice to get faster, right? It's something that's useful. But golden tickets are essentially it's a celebration of Warhammer, but it is also the golden ticket event, the golden demon event. Mike Brandt told me it was the golden demon event of competitiveness for Warhammer. You take the champions from all over the world and they all get invited to come to one place. I think there was 30,000 people that tried to get a golden ticket this year, or at least went to golden ticket events. And I think there's only I don't know. There's not nearly as many people coming to Atlanta. In fact, I would probably say it's probably 1 to 2% of that amount of people, probably 2 to 3%. Right?
So you think maybe 300 people, and did you also count that for Warhammer 40K and for AOS?
Yeah, that would I'd probably put it around between 600 and 900 people.
That's so small.
It's a big event.
Yeah, that's a big event.
Small.
But LVO, just Warhammer alone had 1,000 people. So
yeah,
and this is for 3 different games, right? Because I think they just do Age of Sigmar, 40K, and Kill Team,
and Underworlds.
Oh, and Underworlds. Okay, so yeah, so see, look, and that's divided into 4, so it's even less per game system. Yeah, that's quite a lot.
So if you've never heard of a golden ticket, it is Games Workshops, I'm a tournament organizer. I have a different belief system, right? And that's okay. They're allowed to run their events the way they want to. I'm allowed to run them the way that we want to. They don't really have time clocks as of yet. I guess we'll have to find out if they allow them this year. And time clocks typically, it's weird, time clocks. They ensure that you and your opponent both get the same amount of time. People are always scared of time clocks because they're always like, I am scared that I have to tap this little clock, right? But ultimately, you're already being timed at a tournament. You already have 2 hours,
right?
Or an hour and a half, or 2.5 hours, whatever your time period is. No matter what, there's an invisible clock running, and the TO is going to come over and tell you to stop playing. If you play on a clock, at least you're ensuring that you and your opponent have the same amount of time, which is equally fair, right? So it's something to keep in mind, right? Don't be afraid of the clock. It's there to be your friend. Trust me. And if you're slow, then you got to practice to be faster, And
there's nothing wrong with that. It's you can get used to hitting the button. It just becomes part of the nature. End of turn, hit the button, done.
Yeah. So golden tickets that are left is going to be Nova is giving out 1, and they have 88 players that sold out. It just sold out today. In fact, I know the last person who bought the last ticket, and that was Battle Brothers Tabletop. Ben literally bought the last ticket.
Not Ben's Battle Brothers that I kept messing up forever.
Yeah, I literally looked up his name today.
Oh, that's
Ben
his legal
Campbell.
name too? Oh, that'd have been funny if that was
Ben Campbell. I'm excited to see you at Nova. You bought the last ticket. My guy.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Hell yeah. So next up, we have the All Valley Team Tournament, which we're expecting. We had 56 last year. We have 102 availability slots, hoping to get between 70 and 80. And if we get to 102, that's fantastic.
Even cooler.
That would be amazing. But
And that
we're
one's
getting-
3 tickets.
That is 3, right? So essentially, I think right now we're sitting at 40 players. It's a month away in September, end of September. Currently, everyone has a 1 in 13 chance of getting a golden ticket. So if you want a golden ticket, come on over to AVTT and your odds go down the more people that sign up. But still, even if 102 people sign up, you still have a 1 in 33 chance to get a golden ticket.
Which is pretty good.
It's pretty good. And you get to play with your homies because it's a team tournament.
It's a team
And if your
tournament.
team wins, all 3 of you get to go because it goes to the first place team and then trickles down from there. Next up, we have Kill Scream, and I think Kill Scream can hold 128 players.
Mhm.
So if that sells out, you have a 1 in 128 person shot of getting that. But it is hard to sell at an event, so we'll have to see how many people show up there. It's a great event. I can't wait to see another Pacific Northwest player come to WCW, see how they do. I'm very excited. Great bunch of guys and
Hosting
girls.
it up there. Yep.
Yep.
Kill Team Cascadia is running it.
I think it's not called Kill Scream anymore. It's called CritCon.
CritCon is the event, yes. And
Correct.
Kill Scream will be there, I think. I'm not sure.
I know it's called CritCon now. They could have rebranded it completely from Kill Scream.
Oh, you're right. Hey, it's evolution.
Yeah, we'll have to get Tyler on here to talk about it. But the cool thing is, it's a 3-day event. I should go over all of them. Let's go back to Nova.
Okay.
Nova real quick.
Let's touch up on Nova.
Nova's a 2-day tournament, Saturday, Sunday. It's bracketed on day 2. I don't like brackets for big tournaments, but it is what it is. I paid to go. I can't complain. I will complain, but I won't right now. Essentially, the only way that you can really guarantee getting in the top 8 pod is if you go 4-0 or really close to getting, or there might be 1 or 2 players that are allowed to get in that are not 4-0. But imagine going 3-1 and getting stuck in 24th place and then, going 6-1. It'd suck.
That would suck.
Yeah. But, it is what it is. That's the way brackets are. And it's good to have other types of competition in Kill Team because it makes it interesting, things to talk about. Yep. All Valley Team Tournament, September 21st, 22nd, 2 days, 3 rounds with the Forged Brush painting competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great. Kill Scream is a 3-day event. So day 1 on Friday is 2 rounds, and then they have a wrestling match happening, which is pretty cool. I think they actually have it's a full con. There's going to be painters there, vendors, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be an amazing time. Day 2, I think they have 3 rounds. And then there's a top 16 cut. And it's not like an actual cut, right? The 16 players get to move on and they continue playing Swiss to the best of my knowledge. It's not like a cut where they have to, but there's basically 2 more rounds on Sunday. And I believe on Sunday, there's also a narrative that you can play in. So that should be a lot of fun for everyone attending that. Tampa Open is next, I believe. So that's the first weekend of October. The second weekend of October is the Tampa Open in Florida. That is a Games Workshop event. I don't know who the TO is going to be, but that should be a lot of fun. I'm going to guess between 50 and 60 players will show up. Maybe I'll get surprised and 70 will show up, or we'll have the same turnout as Dallas and 40 will. That's going to be another 1 in 50 shot, I'm assuming. I'm going to guess. Or more. And then we have SoCal Open, which I'm going to guess we're going to get to about 50 again this year. Maybe we'll stick around 40. I think we had 32 last year. So that's a 1 in 40 shot, 1 in 50 shot of getting a golden ticket there.
And we're still doing day 2. If you're not at the top, you can still play a separate tournament, correct?
That's the 3rd week of October. Hopefully the new edition's out by then. Hopefully the new edition's out tomorrow. I would love that.
Oh yeah.
And we could have a lot more to talk about in this video. Will be outdated as of the end of this video, but that's besides the point. Okay. So, SoCal Open is Saturday. We have, I think 4 rounds, and then we have a top 8 cut. And the top 8 will come back for day 2 to be as sweaty as they want for 3 rounds. First place is, gets the golden ticket. Everyone else can come back for day 2 and play in another tournament. So you can literally pay 1 ticket. And if you don't make top 8, you get to play 2 tournaments. And yes, that's 2 scores on ITC. Get them points, homies. Get them points. And then New York Open will be the very last weekend of October. My gosh.
Wow, October is big for tournaments.
We have Nova, then we have September 21st, 22nd for AVTT, and then it's October. New York Open happens in New York. Who would have guessed? Ran by Travis and the Brooklyn Strategist. I think it's at the Brooklyn Strategist. It's going to be, I think it's ran by the Brooklyn Rats, and it's always been a great event. I've heard nothing but great news from the guys up there and girls up there. Really looking forward to seeing the outcome of that as well. I don't think there's any other big events happening. I know that Travis said even if the edition comes out on the day of, they're running the new edition. And I think I'm probably going to do the same for SoCal Open. There's just so much where everyone's ready for the change. Mm-hmm. Who wants to play out? Who wants to be the last hurrah? Right. No, just as a tournament organizer, you got to feed the hype. You got to go.
Got to jump in. It's what the players want.
It is what the players want. I'm sure Kill Scream is thinking the exact same thing. If it releases the first weekend, they're like, we're running it. We don't know the rules.
That's going to be the big thing. It's like, what are we're going to have to like immediately read everything. There's no time for lunch breaks because you're just going to be reading everything and hoping everything sticks. Yeah.
The good news is usually during the pre-release window, right? All the content creators are coming out talking about the rules, what the new rules are, this and that. It should be pretty cool, pretty exciting. And so hopefully we'll know most of the rules, if not all the rules, 2 weeks before.
I hope so.
But content creators also don't get every rule correct. There's been times where people just misunderstand rules, hear this or that. So it's possible that there's still going to be misplays at each event coming up, right? But it's important that as a competitive community that we embrace it and we move it and we learn it quick and we move on.
Yes.
Those are the last golden ticket events in the United States. If you guys are looking to get one, currently AVTT, yes, it's our own event. Yes, I'm going to plug it. Does have the best chance for you to get one and move on to Atlanta, which is in November. It's the weekend. It's the week before Thanksgiving, November 21st through like the 23rd. It's literally 4 days of Kill Team. 4. It's going to be exciting.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And you can catch it on the stream as well if you're somewhere else in a different country. We'll be streaming it for the 2 days as well.
I don't know if they're streaming it in English. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Hopefully next year we can stream Nova. I think that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to do Adepticon as well.
Yeah, I think that'd be a lot
of fun.
I'll reach out to the relevant TOs and see if we can.
We'll work something out there. Third edition.
Yeah, third edition. Let's move on to it.
It's like October, right? You know?
Yep.
I remember waking up to this and going like, "Yep, this is coming out." The terrain looks cool. The box was cool. We already did our initial review on all the models. I dig a lot of it. I'm digging a lot of the changes. Mm-hmm. And they're just subtle changes too. Like the equipment change was big for me. Just thinking like, having 10 equipment points was just, there were so many things to pick from. There's only 4 now. I'm sure there's still going to be ways to take additional. Like if you took the Grenadier, he probably just gives you grenades to take on him or something is my guess. I don't fully know. Obviously it's all speculation. And then they released a couple rules and you got to see how the data card is going. They have the multiplayer now, which is cool if you want to play the game, but you don't necessarily want to play against your friend. You want to play with them. And that's a good way to do it. So, that's nice.
Speaking of the art real quick, the art looks sick.
It is sick. They didn't have to change too much, but just enough to be visually different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I don't think we've talked about this new article, inches and icons, what to expect. So these are the new icons. They got rid of all the shapes. Good for them.
Yep.
You know, shapes were difficult. Not once you got used to them, but they're definitely hard to learn.
Right. It's just easier to have a number. People can understand the number.
Yeah. So we have an approved ops pack, a kill team pack, upgrade pack. What else is there? Is this the climb rules?
Yeah.
Does it actually say?
Well, it's showing you the inches, and we can infer how it's going to work. You go up 4 inches, just like before. It was 4, 2 circle, and then 2 over. So that it just seems easier. And now it's a reposition rule. It's not a move.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this, I know a lot of people are kind of making fun of reposition as a word, but it's actually important because there's like attaching an actual word to an action other than the move action is important because, it actively makes reposition like an actual thing, right? So mandrakes could have a different rule now for their move, right? It might be called something else and you're only allowed to do 1 action per turn, right? So maybe that move is called something else, like rather than like you can only do 1 move action here or 1 this or 1 that. So the fact that they've kind of made these a little bit clearer,
right. Having a keyword is important. Good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always a good one. There's the showing off some of the game modes, showing off the new environment.
Let's talk about their data sheets real quick. So the data sheets are interesting because they got rid of
defense.
They got rid of defense dice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and no GA.
They also got rid of unique actions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the stash. Do I have the book?
I want to. Oh, that is not the right one. I wanted to pull Wahapedia.
Just so you can have a comparison between the two sort of things.
I just want to see if they changed any gun values on it.
I generally think most are the same, but yeah, actually, that's a good question. I didn't cross-reference this yet, so maybe they didn't change too much.
I mean, maybe they did too, right? So it's the Dakotah boy, right?
Yep. Let's see what we're looking at.
We can cross compare. I really hate the ads on this website. I can't wait for Games Workshop to release their free rules so I don't have to deal with these stinking apps. Okay.
We'll see what happens, like maybe their app doesn't get updated. I kid because the 40K app sometimes has inaccurate stuff. It's not often.
So they have unload slugs. So make a shooting attack with this weapon. Within 6 of it, you can reroll any or all of your attack dice. The Dakotah is 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3/4 damage.
Right, with its special rules.
5 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3/4 damage, range 6, ceaseless. So
ceaseless made sense. So
it's the same thing, right?
But notice you have 2 values of shooting. You have short range and you have the long range. So for the short range, it's exactly the same rule, right? Because it says Dakotah shoot a short range 6 with ceaseless. It's exactly the same rule, just into keywords.
So could this one not shoot at long range? So, okay, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
You just said that.
Yeah. So it's just like they just put it in keywords so you don't have to read unload slugs. Like I know what ceaseless means. I reroll everything. Range 6. All right. 6 inches. Easy. Right.
Yeah, they definitely simplified it quite a lot.
They have to because they were putting so many paragraphs of you had a whole novel on some of these characters. You had to flip the back of the cards.
What's going to be interesting is the spells.
We'll see. That they'll see if they can put it into keywords. If not, maybe that still has to have it because Dakotah Dash itself still has their writing, right?
Yeah,
and which makes sense. They couldn't fit that into keywords, but anything that could be simplified probably will become simplified.
Perform a free dash action and shoot action with this operative in any order. You can only select Dakotah for that action. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't think anything else changed, right? 10 wounds. Move 6, save 5 up. Those are the same. Okay. Well, there we go. Got my answer.
Yep. And defense dice, since they don't mention it, I'm assuming
they literally changed. Yeah, they literally changed nothing just to be like, hey, look, we changed nothing.
To make it simpler, because now there's just Dakotah Dash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little easier to look at.
Yeah.
And I like to think that the green is how to do it, and then the little red diamond is like, these are things you must, the stipulations in order to, when you can or can't do it. So easy to look at on a card and instantly know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, and notice how it says that you can't be within control range, and control range was actively said that you can't do it with a conceal order, right?
Yeah.
So, you can't do it within control range, which is essentially
engagement range.
Engagement
which I think they're
range.
Changing it now.
Yeah, but it's important to have the control range instead of engagement range, because now you can say like, oh, if you're in control range of a item, you can pick it up. If you're in control range of a door, you can open it. Here's what control range is, and these are all the actions that you can do while within control range, rather than like, here's engagement range. If you're within an inch of a door, you can open it. If you're within an inch of this, you can open it. It just simplifies it, which is what Elliot's been saying, right? That he's trying to do. And I actively like that they're changing some of the rules. At first, I rolled my eyes at some of the words, and I thought about it. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that as a game design perspective, right?
Right.
And it makes a lot of sense. It actively makes a lot of sense.
And I do like that because you didn't need GA on every one of the models like card ever. Because most of the time it's not going to say that. I'm sure Veteran Guard, for example, will probably have something that says like you can activate 2 guys with this ability at the turn. So it's like their GA. And defense dice has always been 3. So I'm sure that's going to be a core rule. You just have 3 defense dice. And AP reduces the number of defense dice you get, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of reducing your defense value. So you're like, what does the 3 and the 2 mean for new players who are just learning, right? Easier to explain.
Yeah. So coming over to the Vespid Stingwings.
Yep.
We haven't talked about them at all other than what we thought about their looks. This team seems busted. It's me.
I think they're strong. As most teams on release, save for when Kroot came out, are generally pretty strong.
The fact that they get to fly, they do a bunch of damage, and it's like, oh, well, they have to shoot at their closest target. Okay, just fly them towards who you want to shoot. If you don't want to use a communion point. Rather interesting team. The models look great, right?
Mm-hmm. They knocked it out of the park with this remake.
Yeah, the Neutron, I like their lore behind the operatives. The lore is like, that when they fly, their weapons do more damage because it charges the crystals inside their guns more. Makes sense, but when Elliot calls them a
glass cannon
and they have 9 wounds, I don't think they're a glass cannon.
I mean, they got 5 up armor save, but you could argue the orcs have 10 wounds and 5 up armor save, and orcs can be surprisingly hard.
Maybe they only have 6 models,
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, I'm assuming it's going to be 10. Pretty sure it's going to be 10.
Yeah.
Communion's cool. They showed how some of the rules work, which is pretty normal.
Devastating too. Now, Giacomo is interesting. I don't know if they actually call out what Devastating does, but what does it do in 40K?
Well, Devastating is wounds you just can't ignore. So I'm assuming
it's mortal wounds, right?
Essentially, that's what we've known it in the common conscious, but it's the rule is now Devastating too. So maybe mortal wounds will be a different thing.
Yeah.
So who knows, right?
Yeah.
And I guess it makes sense because then it's like if you play 40K and you play Kill Team, a lot of the rules are kind of similar. So It makes sense. You can easily figure it out.
This guy has something called Sky Blast. I wonder what that is. Guess we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Probably
it's keyword.
Probably on Tuesday morning.
Notice how does it say fly on their keyword? It doesn't say fly, right?
No, it doesn't. But
so I'm wondering how is it just a main rule that the army has now if it has fly?
It could. It says it up here somewhere.
Well, yeah, it says it right there. They have the fly ability, but like before it used to be under
team
keywords.
Special rule. Yeah,
exactly. It's probably going to be team special rule. Because I'm wondering, like, just as an example, the salvager, the Hearthkin salvager with the jump back, I forget what he's called, is that model going to say has the fly keyword? Like, I'm just curious, because they're showing keywords and I'm not seeing it there.
So here's this. The operative has moved or used fly in the same turning point. I'm wondering if fly is an action similar to reposition, right? So it is saying so long as the operative has used fly in the same turning point. So maybe fly is just an action in the game.
Because fly is now you go up, you disappear from the board, and then you reappear on the board in a spot within your range.
And maybe some operatives will have the ability to use fly. Maybe maybe we'll get
that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Perhaps we get like models in the future that do have fly, or it's just one model on a team with a jetpack or something like that.
Right, that has the fly rule, so they jump up, disappear, and come back.
That would be cool. That's interesting.
I mean, that's how fly works now, which is nice. So that means, you don't have to worry about going around an inch or anything because you're flying over things and you're not triggering stuff. I don't know. I guess we'll see it as we keep playing the game. It's too early to find out.
Yeah, so we have Communion, which not interested in reading, so we're not going to.
No, yeah, we're not trying to give you a whole deep dive into it, just kind of what some rules are. They show you a few options of equipment now, and like I mentioned earlier, equipment has been simplified. You have 4 equipment points, and then you could take another one with one of their
thingies,
recon step stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like, cool, that's that. There you go. Simple.
Yep. So, and now they also announced, which a lot of people are talking about, the co-op mode and the singles mode.
Yeah, they're talking more about the co-op than the singles from what I'm hearing. And it makes sense, right? Like, let's say you have a friend who's getting new into the game. They don't quite get it. And you don't want to just like rip them apart and just like you lost the game, right? So you go in with this format first and you just play, have them shoot like easy targets, like get used to the mechanics, that, there's no pressure.
This could be great for a stream as well. Like, so imagine Giacomo, a battle report. You and me are doing this, right? We're together, and the stream, buys like Space Marines
they're buying the enemies. Yeah, okay.
And that would be cool.
Okay, that's a fun one. We'll keep that in mind. In the noggin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool, and just like that, you can have your own little scenarios with co-op. And they were nice enough to include it. It's not something that's like an absolute selling point for the game. Maybe it is for you guys.
Bro, since they don't have a Tyranid team right now,
you can use Yeah,
because it's been said, I think,
they have like so if you go down, you can see the 2 types of profiles they have for monsters. They
have Tyranids right here. That's probably where I got the idea.
Yep. And look, don't worry. Intercession's still around, guys. They just showed a picture of it.
So they have where?
See, there's an intercessor right there.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yep. Intercessors are still around, guys. They're not going away.
So are Tyranids. They're coming into the game, right?
At least in this format.
So there's so each model, you have to tell me, G, what is this saying? Give me the rundown.
So you got brawlers, you got marksmen, and I'm assuming they might give you more, but like these guys have certain mechanics, right? Like a brawler is going to be in conceal, trying to get to you until he can fight you, and then a marksman's going to try to shoot you and dash away, so it's not in combat, right? That's how their NPOs work. So simple things that are easy to understand, right? You don't want to make it too complicated, or else no one's going to control these. And then it shows you like just what their stats would be. Very simple. They're not going to make it too hard.
2 shoot actions during its activation. My gosh.
And that's probably a heavy version of this weapon, right? That's why it's called a heavy.
They have ceaseless.
That's a tough brawler, and that's a heavy marksman. So you probably have like
these are wild, bro.
You probably could have like a light marksman who has 4 attacks on 4, like 2-3. Yeah, again, a heavy marksman. So that would be like a Space Marine, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Like,
okay. So that makes more sense.
Yeah. It probably depends on like, are you a heavy, light, or whatever? Are you tough? Are you weak?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So like you can create monsters, right? Like that's fun. And you could probably, like now that you
we could probably make our own.
Exactly. You could make your own for narratives, narrative events. There you go.
Yeah. That's cool. That's exciting. Yeah. So that they have missions themselves include deployment maps for Killzone Volcus and the Gallodark.
Yep, which is good. That'll be in the book.
Yeah, I would imagine this being relatively difficult on Beta Decima.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to make up your own and figure that out. Like, again, which you could totally do, because this is more of a relaxed, casual game or a narrative thing. Cool. Yeah, it's fun. Just do it with your friend. Teach them how to play the game this way.
I don't think I'm going to play any Sad Hammer by myself, but I'll definitely play this.
No, I think the Sad Hammer days are like, people are already doing that. Like, but they're more doing it to be like, if I move here and this guy moves here, and their tactical advice, they're not actually really playing solo, but the fact that it's there is there, right? Because you'd play these monsters versus yourself. So you could play it. Solitaire is a game and people love solitaire, right?
Yeah.
So it's for somebody. It's not for me. I think I'm going to stick with the multiplayer. And from a selling tactic perspective, this is like, hey, you can play multiplayer with friends, right? So you buy this box with 2 teams in it. You keep those 2 teams for yourself and have your friend buy something else, right? Like more stuff to sell. Buy these other models.
And I think that's about it. That's been dropped out.
That's
here,
about it, But there's probably more nuances if you want to take a whole look into everything, but that's been done to death, so I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, every other content creator has gone out there and made every single video imaginable.
I was immediately joking about my joke is, we just watched this 30-second digital clip of something. Now let's watch a 40-minute analysis video on everything inside it.
That is fair.
And that is what happened. And that's okay, because I'm clicking on those 40-minute videos, so I'm part of the problem,
That's fair. Yeah, so I think that's about it. Let's end with a little bit more about the battle report.
Sure.
I felt like we didn't go over it nearly as good enough as I wanted to.
All right.
So I'll kind of go over the equipment that we have, right? So we have 4 Sony mirrorless cameras.
Mm-hmm.
We have 3 Mevo cameras. We have an IP Evo 4K document camera for our dice. We have 2 Rode mic sets, or 2 Rode mic 2Go sets, and a Rode mic AI thing that makes them so that you could have 4 mics together.
It's always cool.
We have multiple Samsung mics. Again, we have 7 lights. I think we have 2 Fivotechs, 1 small rig Canon, 2 Newers, 1 ring light, and then we have a big old fabric LED that goes over the top of the tables and stuff.
Yes.
What else do we have?
We have some decent lenses, a lot of prime lenses that help you keep some sharpness. We use some kit lenses as well because, we have the lenses. We may as well use them.
Kit lenses are probably best when you're trying to go to an event and stream.
Yeah, you just want some
variety.
Yeah, like you have versatility to just, if I have to change it really quick, I can. But if you can get a prime lens and you can have it set up somewhere nicely, prime lens is the way to go because they're generally sharper.
Correct. We use prime lenses for Hobby Highlander.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're still missing 1 4K, so we still have 1 camera that's...
Well, we'll update it. It takes time. This is a collection. It's not a race.
Right. It does. We also use 3 Stream Decks, multiple sets of headphones. We have laptops,
iPads to control some things.
Big old Stream Rig computer with a 3070 inside it, and a lot of memory. You
need the storage for recording.
Mm-hmm.
A good internet connection. That's rare. So you just happen to have a very good internet connection in the studio. Yeah. So that works.
I have AT&T and we have their fiber optics. So it's like 999.
It's just like the download and upload speed's insane.
It's insane. It's insane.
It's good. It's very good.
Yeah. That does actually help a lot. So, oh man, we have a couple tables.
Right.
Tables are really important. Yeah. Positional tables. We have 2 Samsung microphones for different things. And again, this has been 8 years of collecting stuff.
Amassing.
And this is mine and Giacomo's collection put together. Right. But again, you don't have to start off with all this equipment. You can start off small. And in fact, you might blow a lot of money because what if you hate it? What if
then you're
you're thousands of dollars in the hole? It's not particularly smart.
No, because that's another thing. You should see if you even want to do this, right? You tried it once and you're just it's not for me.
Yeah, I wanted to originally start off with painting videos. I wanted to paint stuff and watch people watch me paint. And then it's slowly grown from there. And then me and Giacomo started squad games. And then we were like, hey, we can stream events. Let's make it happen.
And here we are.
Yeah, our first big stream event was our very first LVO. It was interesting. We started 8 months before. Our first tournament, we had 5 players. And
5 players. Yep.
And it was Giacomo, Saya, and me made up 8.
Yep.
8,
just to make
8.
sure we could hit 8 and be legit.
Yeah. And then I played Vet Guard and I ran him down. I was like, all right, I'm just going to run him at you, kill him. Cool. I'll walk around. I was a TO. It doesn't matter. I'm not trying to win a game. And then I think we did like 4 or 5 events and we never broke 12 until the first All Valley. We hit 42, which was insane.
Huge for us.
And then we did a December event. I think we hit 12 again. And then we did LVO with 87.
And that was big for us.
Yeah, we had you on the stream, which was the very first time we did it. And the computer didn't work, and Emmanuel had to come over and jiggle wires, and then it worked. And we we're like, thanks, Emmanuel. Saya ran the store, and then I was the TO for 87 players. It was magnificent. I don't think I slept for a month leading up to it because we had to create. We all have a third-party terrain,
building terrain like nonstop.
Yeah, it was insane. It was insane.
Oh, that's another thing. You know, you got to have all the tools of the trade when you're doing battle reports too.
Yeah, my thing is like if you're requiring painting, everything has to be painted. Terrain, whatever, right?
Right.
So,
you got to try to make it match if you can. You know, build up to it. You know, get there.
So, and then the next year we started having streaming at more events. Not every event. And then I think we started off with like 12 players, our first event again, and then it went up to like 24. And it kind of varied. AVTT hit 56. And then LVO, we had 100. We sold 164, 131 people showed up. Still to this day, it's still the biggest kill team tournament in the world.
And let's hope to smash those records.
Hell year. Yeah, we're going to smash it. We're going to smash it out of the park. I hope. And then this year, pretty much every tournament we've gone to outside of Pacific Skirmish, I think we've actually streamed. We streamed Bay Area Championship. We streamed Midsummer Mayhem. I think we are going to be streaming AVTT, and we're going to be streaming SoCal Open, and then
recording SoCal Open, unless they give us the internet connection.
Correct. We're going to record SoCal Open because they don't have internet, and I'm not going to buy some kind of crazy hotspot and make my phone bill go out the roof.
Right.
Because requiring a 2-year plan and whatever else AT&T wants to throw at me.
Like, again, don't go above your means, because then it could just ruin you financially. Like, that's not what we're here for. We're here to enjoy it.
And then we'll probably stream West Coast Championships, which is going to be a fabulously fun event. And then we're going to go to LVO and stream there too. So
you got live battle reports and you got recorded battle reports. You know, it's cool.
So if you guys are interested in following us, follow our YouTube, because that's where our battle reports are going to be. We might get some other battle reports on our Patreon if you guys are interested in joining our Patreon. We do the Squad Games Redacted podcast, which we have one coming up for that as well. I think we haven't recorded very many this year for that one, but it's more behind the scenes stuff. You know, some crazy stuff has happened in our lives.
Less
redacted things. Some would say in the Redacted podcast, things that we don't want to talk about on this podcast
that we shouldn't talk about on this podcast.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed. And then, if you want to do that, or you want to check out Hobby Highlander, maybe you've never seen it before. If you're not a big hobbyist, go check it out. Give us some support. You know,
tell us what you think.
Yeah, that is something that we really care. It's my favorite thing that we do.
It's a lot of fun to make.
It is. Yeah. Do you have any shout outs?
Absolutely. You can join the conversation on Discord. Our Discord is in the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it should be in the description. So you could join there, share your painting, share what you like about the game, share what you like about other games. We'll listen, we'll talk, and the community is pretty receptive. You can find me on Instagram at wargaming_studios, where I'm working on miniatures all the time. whenever I can, that is. And like we mentioned earlier, we're on YouTube, so you could follow us there. If you're listening to this on YouTube from the other podcast channel we do have the main one too, which is Squad Games Entertainment. Link is in this description for the podcast, but not for that one. It had to create one and it made its own, so we have 2 channels. But you know,
we have 2 YouTube channels. It's wild.
Yes, and that other YouTube channel, the audio gets distorted because of the way it compresses and sends it. So if you want less compressed audio and better sound, then you want to go to our main channel, Squad Games Entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
My last thing I would like to shout out is Saya from Tabletop Mayhem. Go check out her YouTube channel. She does a lot of D&D content. And when Hivestorm releases, she's going to be doing a lot more Kill Team stuff, getting back a lot more into Kill Team and doing D&D. And here on Squad Games, you might see some D&D content come from me because
you're a tabletop man.
I'm big into D&D, very big, to say the least. Right? I think I ran a 5-year campaign that we met 2 times a week, and that was our most recent campaign. So.
Quite
How does someone have this much time in their life? They sacrifice sleep.
There you go. Go to sleep, guys. That's what you got to do.
So, but that's it. That's it from us. That's it from us, Tao. Gosh, dang it.
That's it from us, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Go to sleep.
Peace.
Unless you're driving, don't go to sleep.
Yeah, don't go to sleep when you're driving. Stay awake. Drink that caffeine.
The Squad Games podcast is a production of Squad Games Entertainment. For more information on Squad Games, please visit our website at lestersworkshop.com/squad-games.